Global tourism is now at a crossroads in its cycle. The current coronavirus pandemic has perhaps been the single most catastrophic event to have faced the industry since the Great Depression of 1929. With no clear timeline for the successful development and widespread commercialization of a vaccine, the economic impact of the global public health crisis on the tourism industry is likely to remain pronounced over an indefinite period. The World Economic Forum projects that the end-of-year cost of the pandemic will be anywhere between 8.1 and 15.8 trillion US dollars globally. The outlook for the global travel and tourism industry is especially bleak, with international tourism projected to hemorrhage at least 1.2 trillion US or 1.5% of the global gross domestic product by year end. International tourist arrivals are expected to decline between 20 to 30%. The tourism sector also faces a staggering 100 million job losses due to the corona pandemic, according to the World Travel and Tourism Council. The destabilizing impact of the corona pandemic reflects a characteristic feature of tourism development over the past several decades. Despite being one of the most resilient and expansionary segments of the global economy, tourism is simultaneously one of the most vulnerable to shocks. The susceptibility of the industry to shocks has intensified in recent years. Indeed, the magnitude and simultaneity of the range of dynamic threats facing global tourism is unprecedented. These threats range from those that are generally defined to some geographic regions, but have broader economic implications for global tourism and travel, such as political instability, changing foreign policies, isolationism, terrorism, civil wars, and conflicts, to ubiquitous threats with more immediate and direct cross-border impacts, such as epidemics and pandemics, cybercrimes, and climate change. These threats are associated with the negative consequences for global tourism, including reduced destination attractiveness and security, damage to tourism assets and attractions, water shortages, biodiversity loss, displacement of human populations, loss of human capital, capital flight, and loss of jobs and incomes. As global tourism seeks to rebound from the current crisis and anticipates equally disruptive forces in the future, the single most important challenge of the industry will be to respond to the questions of its adaptability and sustainability. More so now than ever before, the adaptive tourism sector will be required to make and take account of its current and future economic, social, political, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities, while fortifying its own capacity for risk management and resilience. Sustainable tourism development cannot, however, be pursued in isolation from other development objectives at the national, regional, or international levels. As the United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, has noted, sustainable tourism development requires the informed participation of all relevant stakeholders, as well as strong political leadership to ensure wide participation and consensus building. There must be a shared understanding that a prosperous and thriving tourism industry is indispensable to the economic livelihood of millions and the social, economic, and political stability of many countries. This is against the background that tourism is the largest industry in the world. This is also against the background that tourism is also one of the most important catalysts of macroeconomic stability and sustainable development globally. For example, the travel and tourism sector experienced a 3.5% growth in 2019, outpacing the global economic growth of 2.5% for the ninth consecutive year. Over the past 5 years, 1 in 4 new jobs were created by the sector, making tourism and travel the best partner for governments to generate employment. In 2019, travel and tourism also contributed some 8.9 trillion to the world's GDP, or 10.3% of GDP, providing 330 million jobs, or 1 in 10 of every job around the world, and providing US $1.7 trillion in visitor exports, or 28.3% of the global services exports. And of course, US $948 billion in capital investment, or 4.3% of total investment. As a global instrument of sustainable development, the tourism industry must be positioned then as a catalyst of accelerated human development, social and economic inclusiveness, increased entrepreneurship and self-employment, and a generator of decent work. The UNWTO recognized 2017 as a year of sustainable tourism and used the opportunity to focus on key issues of sustainability, such as inclusive and sustainable economic growth, social inclusiveness, employment and poverty reduction, resource efficiency, environmental protection and climate change, cultural values, diversity and heritage, and mutual understanding, peace, and security. Tourism is aligned with many of the key targets of the Sustainable Development Goals. And tourism is a labor-intensive sector that creates jobs for people of all ages and skill levels, not only in this sector, but through its value chain in many other sectors, such as the cultural industries, agriculture, construction, manufacturing, transportation, handicrafts, health, financial services, or information and communication technologies. Tourism also has the power to accelerate community development and reduce inequalities if it engages local populations and all key stakeholders in its development. It can contribute to urban renewal and rural development and reduce regional imbalances by giving communities the opportunity to prosper in their place of origin. In spite of the current situation, however, there is a unique opportunity at hand for global tourism. The COVID-19 crisis is a watershed moment to ensure the alignment of post-COVID tourism policies to the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. The crisis has given us the perfect opportunity to select a new direction and move forward by adopting a more sustainable path. Specifically, COVID-19 offers public, private, and academic actors a unique opportunity to design and consolidate the transition towards a greener and more balanced tourism. As it currently stands, in addition to immediate measures to support the tourism sector, countries have also been shifting to develop recovery measures. These include considerations of lifting travel restrictions, restoring travelers' confidence, and rethinking the tourism sector for the future. I welcome global efforts by many world leaders to mitigate the economic and social impact of the pandemic, and committing to work together to provide support to a sustainable and inclusive recovery of the tourism sector. As the entire tourism sector needs to adapt to new realities of tourism and the circumstances imposed by COVID-19 pandemic, it is clear that a joint whole of society approach is required. So in concluding, the most important goal for all of us should be to ensure that the industry restarts in a strategic, sustainable, and coordinated way to protect those who are most vulnerable and to prevent any long-term deterioration of the progress achieved over the past decades. Thank you.